A few years ago, if, Rihanna had showed up to one of those basketball games like that, y'all would have been suckling at the teat of all things Robin Rihanna Fenty, okay? Y'all love yourselves some Rihanna. She's amazing, okay? 100%, no doubt. But y'all have such a lust for Rihanna and her physicality and her body type. And if she had worn something identical to that, y'all would have been out here cutting up one of your old t-shirts or one of your boyfriend shirts or something like that, cutting the ass out of it so that you can look just the same. Don't play. Stop it. You definitely would have done the exact same thing too. Recognize and acknowledge your ideologies and your ideas and your belief systems about plus size people, and just be honest. You don't find plus size folks as attractive as you would those who are non plus sized. And because of your mental programming, which has been so damaged and so messed up, where you've only seen, in a very large degree, where you've only seen people who are quote unquote thick, either naturally or by going under the knife, but also because you've seen these people with these, genetically modified butts and breasts and all of these other, enhancements, you think that anything that is alternative to that is disgusting. And so the issue doesn't lie with Lizzo and what she's wearing. The issue lies with you and your mental programming and how fractured you are. We need to really, 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 really check how deeply embedded the disgust and the disdain that our society has towards full-bodied and full-figured people. We act as though, and we truly believe as though, that plus-size individuals, that large-sized women, mostly, definitely men too, that somehow they're not attractive, they're not beautiful, they're not sexy. And we see it as an affront to us when someone actually has ownership of their body. It's like, how dare you feel so comfortable in front of me? Our society truly does, truly does loathe and hate people who don't have the Instagram bodies, who don't have the Kardashian bodies, who don't have the Fashion Nova bodies. Basically, we loathe people, actual human beings, real human bodies, who actually have real human bodies, especially when it comes to women. God forbid that someone has cellulite, or someone has a stomach roll, or someone doesn't have their cheeks perfectly contoured, or that their lips aren't full and vivacious and all these other things as well, and that their breasts don't sit all the way right up here, right up under their necks. I mean, God forbid, right? And it's troubling because the same society that claims to be a part of this whole, embracing all bodies and inclusivity and body positivity movement, in the very same breath, many of you, and I've seen a lot of your comments, I don't say nothing. That's right, I don't say nothing, but I watch and I absorb, and then I make a video about it. But I've seen a lot of your comments, which are absolutely deplorable and disgusting, and y'all should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves. And with that shame, you should ask yourself, how did I get to be this way? What factors or experiences or dogma or miseducation system or processes have led to me being such a nasty ass person? That's what y'all should be asking, but that's for a later conversation. When is our society, and all of us who inhabit her, when are we going to get to a place where we stop being seduced and swayed by things that don't matter, and having this major outcry and this major reaction where everyone has to chime in, right? And everyone has to lend their thoughts to these things that really don't matter. It somehow, are your words, are they going in your beliefs about Lizzo and her booty gate dress, or someone wearing a specific type of shoe, or specific type of shoes, or someone wearing their hair a certain way? Is that somehow going to shift our culture and move the needle towards a utopia? Absolutely not, because everything that comes out of your mouth is spewed and dripped in hatred and judgment and being fake woke. Shut up. Stop. Stop. When are we going to get to a place where we have this immediate outcry and this outpouring of activism and support in elevating and amplifying a message about the protection of sacred humanity so that we can protect those who need it? When are we going to get to a place where we stop with all of this animosity and all of this anger and all of this villainous rhetoric about how people should dress? Like, let's just call it what it is. You're not actually worried that the children that were in attendance at this basketball game, that they would somehow be scarred for life. Oh gosh, because they saw a couple of butt cheeks, as though they don't have their own, but that they saw a couple of butt cheeks of an artist whom I'm sure they're all extremely familiar with, that they saw her dancing and somehow they're going to be scarred for life. And oh dear God, what do we do about that? Y'all are not concerned about that. I'm going to tell you like this. Because we live and have been living for decades now in such a highly pornified culture, yes, pornified culture, we see these images everywhere, and your children included, primarily because many of you have gotten your children these cellular devices. And not only that, but you have also allowed them to have access to social media. And so you better believe that they've already seen this and probably a whole lot of other stuff too. Just last week, somehow through the Instagram vortex, I discovered and came across, doing some research on issues related to sexism, misogyny, etc., etc. I actually was led to a page that I'm pretty sure a whole lot of you are familiar with on Instagram, and it's called Pornhub. Easily accessible, okay? Anyone can get to it. So I'm saying all that to say that your children have seen so much more. And don't sit here with this fake outrage, like you're so concerned for the well-being of your children and oh my God, what's gonna happen because they saw Lizzo dancing to her own song that they played at this basketball game. I even saw a couple of other comments with people making statements like, how could she go to a communal event like this? You know, we have to sanitize this chair. Listen, this may come as a shock to a lot of you, but she had floor seats at a basketball game. I really don't think any of y'all will ever have to deal with sitting in that seat specifically. You won't at all. I wonder if we will ever get to a place in our society, either now or 100 years from now, I don't know. If we're ever going to get to a place where we can stop being so judgmental and stop being so hateful and stop having our words be so hate-filled. I really do worry sometimes about our future. I worry about what legacy these future generations are inheriting. I wonder about what a lot of you who have left these really toxic comments about Lizzo and so many other people, I wonder what your children are picking up and what they are embodying and what they're inhabiting. And if that will then lead to the continuation and the perpetuation of us segregating ourselves from people and being so judgmental, and more importantly, really working overtime to control how someone presents themselves in this world. How Lizzo dresses and how any other person on the face of this earth dresses is, and nor should it be, any of our concern. If they're not harming another individual physically or psychologically or economically, then just be quiet. That's not your concern. Are we going to get to a place where we actually start to cry out in droves and speak loudly about people and communities here within the US, in South America, throughout the continent of Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, in other indigenous lands and communities? Are we going to get to a place where we use our voices collectively and individually, and where we also use these platforms that have been given to us? Are we going to use it to push the needle forward in terms of building a world and building a society where we actually discuss and create work that is actually of value and that could actually save human beings' lives? And where we are authentically dismantling systems of subjugation, systems of oppression? Or are we just going to continue to talk about whatever the latest dance craze is? Or are we going to talk about the latest trending issue about some sort of inane celebrity gossip? Is that what you're going to continue to use your voice for? Something that's so precious? We're going into 2020, y'all. A new decade. Do we want to end one year doing the same old? Or are we going to end this year and begin a new one in a different mindset, in a different light, where we are better, where we think better, and where we actually love each other? You decide.